We have time for one more question. Go ahead.
So a few of you have talked about this a little bit, but I'm wondering if you could talk about, in a time of social media and the internet and cancel culture, how do we help folks have a growth mindset and trust, right? So like, I'm specifically thinking, I work for an organization that does civic engagement in higher ed, and we saw a lot of student protesters be doxxed on the internet because of their beliefs. And so it creates this moment where students don't feel like they can make a mistake. So how do we help them build that trust in themselves to have a growth mindset, but also what are we going to do about that whole piece of it?
So I think we talked about fixing trust at the local level. Definitely. I also think we need to fix the communication machine. And I'm not going to blame the media, so Jen will be happy. The media is part of the communication machine, but so are we. And if you think about the communication machine, think of you have a machine that spits out T-shirts, and it spits out too many smalls, and you need more extra large. We have a communication machine that's changed dramatically over the last 20 years, and it's not serving us well. And whether it's reinforcing identity versus broadening identity, whether it's there's too much information so you can't apply critical thinking, whether it's we got fake news out there or whatever you want. And so that communication machine, which includes us and the media, we need to figure out how do we reposition that and how do we make it work for us as opposed to drive us. So like, for example, I'm very focused on the negativity out of that machine. If you look at the negative versus positive in America coming in our communication, the net negative is $84 billion worth of advertising, which is more advertising than the top 15 advertisers in the United States spend a year. So you think of, whether you're watching T-Mobile, Comcast, Allstate, Coca-Cola, P&G, Tide, whatever, all of those ads, that machine is spitting out all that negativity. I think we have to figure out how do we change the machine, and that's part of our trust work. How do you, at the macro level?
It's a challenge for all of us to start to be able to say, people's ideas are not their identity, but your observation that people feel as though they cannot make a mistake, that there are things that you cannot say, including on university campuses. It is probably not a consolation, but I talk to a lot of chief executives, I talk to a lot of university presidents who also feel unable to make a mistake, who also feel very uncertain about what they should say. What I think there is an opportunity for institutions of higher learning, other institutions to start to do is to talk more frequently, not necessarily about mistakes, but to talk about the idea of changing minds and changing mindsets and get comfortable with the idea that the things that we believe might be quite temporary, they might be evolved and improved. And that's not a new idea, by the way, like I'm describing the basics of science, right? Like that you build new ideas, that you change what used to be true or accepted as true. That is on a pretty fundamental level a role of the university, and the more we talk about that role, I think the more we can will that role into existence.
No, the question has like something profound within it, which is that you're implying that the growth mindset, which is the belief that others and yourself can grow as opposed to having fixed capabilities, the fixed mindsets, I'm not good at learning languages, I can't learn Chinese. The growth mindset says, Chinese, bring it on. The fixed mindset says, I'm not going to even try, I might get a bad grade, that'll hurt me, and then I'll be held back more. I never thought of it before that trust was a critical element of the growth mindset. And I want to think about that more, because that's a really, really good point you just made. Okay,
that leads me to my last question for each of you, because what I love about this conversation is that it raises questions.
Yeah.
It's not just about having big answers.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, I'd love to hear from each of you a question you want us to leave with today, something we can ask ourselves, something we can take back to our communities to start to build important discussions. Tom?
So I think trust is an obligation as a citizen. And so I'm going to use some facing history in ourselves language. Will you be an upstander or a bystander as it comes to improving trust? And that means, will you give other people a dignity that they can have a different point of view?
Julia.
What is it that you have changed your mind about, and how?
Well, what can I do to help earn others' trust?
Very good questions for us all to ask ourselves as we leave. Tom, Julia, Dan, thank you for this conversation. Thank you. We've been listening to a conversation recorded in June at this year's Aspen Ideas Festival. With me on stage, Julia Darr. She's behavioral science lab leader at the Boston Consulting Group. Also, Dan Porterfield, president and CEO of the Aspen Ideas Institute, and Tom Wilson, president and CEO of Allstate. As ever, we are grateful to the Aspen Institute for their partnership. Special thanks to Tricia Johnson, John Purvis, Eric Baker, and Ben Berliner. This program comes to you from WAMU, part of American University in Washington, distributed by NPR. I'm Jen White. Thanks for listening, and let's talk more soon. This is 1A.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from BetterHelp, committed to supporting mental health through therapy. Clients are matched with one of 35,000 therapists and can communicate via video, chat, or phone at betterhelp.com/public. From Indeed, designed to be an end-to-end hiring solution for businesses of all sizes to attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one platform. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. And from listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
Inflation may have slowed, but not everyone's happy with the economy.
If you're a person who's trying to buy a home still, you're not looking at, well, things are a little better than they were 2 months ago. You're looking at, gosh, they're a lot worse than they were 3 years ago.
The On Point Money Ladies are back to talk inflation, housing, and COVID's lasting effects on the economy. That's on the next On Point.
Weekday evenings at 7 on Radio IQ.
Weekday mornings are a juggle, sometimes even a struggle. Morning Edition from NPR News eases you into your day and keeps you company through the chaos of a busy morning. Hear interviews that give you context on the day's biggest stories, along with reporting and updates on the latest breaking news. Stay on top of the world with Morning Edition every weekday.
That's Morning Edition beginning weekdays at 5 a.m. on Radio IQ.
Radio IQ is broadcasting in digital on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City Richmond, WURV Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISC FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIQR Lexington, WEHC Emory, and in Richmond on 92.5 and Fredericksburg on 94.9. Radio IQ.
The Roanoke City Council meeting for September the 3rd is hereby called to order. We've just come from a joint meeting with the Roanoke City School Board, and some of our members must be taking their time or catching the transit to get here for this meeting, but I think we need to get started. So we're going to reconvene, and I will begin our session. There's a communication from, are you leaving?
No, she's open your mic. We can't hear. Get the mics on.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Some may not want to hear me anyway, so I'm not surprised. Testing. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. There's communication from the mayor's office that council convened in a closed meeting to discuss vacancies on certain positions, authorities, boards, commissions, and committees appointed by council pursuant to section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones? Aye. Mr. Fitzpatrick is out. Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White-Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds is away, and Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the motion passes. There is a communication from our city attorney requesting that council convene in a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing disposition of publicly owned property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position of negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia as amended. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones? Aye. Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White-Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds? Aye. And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the motion passes. Thank you. There's another communication from the city attorney requesting that the council convene in a closed meeting to consult with legal counsel, where such consultation or briefing in an open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body pursuant to section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended. There's a motion. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones? Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White-Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds? Aye. And Mayor Lee?
Aye, and the motion passes. There's a
Third.
All right,
From the city attorney.
there's another request from our attorney that council convene in a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing acquisition of publicly owned property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia as amended. I need a motion.
So moved.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Sanchez-Jones? Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White-Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds? Aye. And Mayor Lee?
Aye, and the motion passes. All right, colleagues, that's 4 closed meetings we have today. And so, if I'm missing. All right, are there any topics for discussion by the mayor or members of council other than what we have on the minutes? All right. At this time, we're going to have a briefing by Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, and I'm going to ask Landon Howard to come in and share with us. Good morning. Thank you, Landy.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you all so very much for the opportunity and the privilege to come and speak with you today. We love coming and speaking to council and telling you all the good news that's going on, and I know that we've had meetings with each member of council in the last few weeks, and just thank you all for your time and for your commitment to the city and to the region and what's going on. And I would be very remiss if I didn't introduce a lot of people that are here in support. Several members of our board, I'm going to ask them if they would please stand. And then we have folks from the hospitality industry, hoteliers, staff people, and others that are here. I'd like to ask y'all to stand. All right. And anyway, we feel very blessed to have the support we have in the community and here in the city of Roanoke. And, you know, it's all about we, us, and our. I, me, and my, as far as we're concerned. And so you are very much part of that we are grateful for. The city of Roanoke is the capital of the Blue Ridge, and we promote Virginia's Blue Ridge as the capital of the and you're the hub, the city of Roanoke. Let's look at, we have 4 questions that were sent to us from the city manager, and I appreciate her sharing this with us. The first question that we had was about the $2.1 million investment that comes to us from the city. None of this, I will say, is local dollars. It's really important. This is transient occupancy tax. So these are people staying in our hotels, and the $2.1 million. So at this point, I can say that we are pulling in about 11-to-1 return on investment. If you look there in the category where local taxes is $22.9 million. Now, let me say this. This is old data. So in 3 weeks, we're going to have new data. And this comes in from Virginia Tourism. I look forward to sharing this with you. Those numbers are going to be higher. And so I'll just tell you, things are looking great. Looking at our history of the lodging tax. In the first 10 years, long before I even knew where Roanoke was, we had level funding. In the first 10 years, about half of that came from general fund, and 0.5% came from lodging tax. And we were at 5% at that point. And then when I came in, we asked the city to partner with Salem and Roanoke County on a funding mechanism that would provide 3 percentage points of lodging tax to our organization so that I could actually plan. Most of our bookings are done 2, 3, and 4 years out, and so it makes it difficult for us to go after conventions and sports, etc., without knowing what our budget is going to be. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And so anyway, that's where we are. And the thing that's nice, I was actually at my office on Labor Day, and I was looking at the lodging tax from the city, and I have even more current data for you. That is right here in front of you. This is the lodging tax for the whole fiscal year of 23-24. And you broke a new record in terms of generating a total of $5.6 million in lodging tax, which is the best that you've ever done. And so we're pleased about that, and we know that your amusement taxes, your dining taxes, all of that related to the hospitality and tourism industry are certainly up. We're a destination, and we're growing as a destination, which is great. Here's an issue that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention. And I'm going to quote Brian Wells from the Hotel Roanoke, if he doesn't mind me doing that. He's here. He doesn't know I'm going to say this.
Welcome, Brian.
He said, short-term rentals. You know, I mean, if you look at the short-term rentals in downtown Roanoke, it's almost equivalent to another Hotel Roanoke. And we see these numbers, and the question is, are we collecting the bed tax off of these, or any of the taxes? We don't know. Right now, we're looking at, just for the lodging tax collections for the short-term rentals, just for the city of Roanoke, should be well over $500,000. And right now, we cannot answer that question because Verbo is pretty good at details when it comes to how they provide information, but I know Airbnb is not. So I don't know if that money's going into the general fund or where it might be going, if you're even receiving it. The transient occupancy tax, we've still got, out of our 5 jurisdictions, there's still 2 jurisdictions that haven't finished their books, but I can tell you at this point that 3 of them are up, just like the city of Roanoke. And where we were at $10 million in collections the previous year, I'm expecting this to heading towards $11 million, which we're really excited about. And we're especially excited about this, and again, this is one of those 3 weeks from now, when we get from Virginia Tourism, the impact of the travel and tourism industry on our region. And we were at 1.26 billion, and I fully expect us to be over 1.3 billion in terms of just lodging taxes collected. Now, if you look at our competitive set, this is really critical. You look down to Asheville, where they get 100% of the lodging tax, and these are the folks that we have, that we go up against. We literally are in the hallway waiting to go make a presentation for sales or sports, and they're there with us. And so we're competing against these folks. And the good news is, and I thank you all for the ARPA money that you provided, but next year, our budget will probably fall to about $4.6 million because it does not include ARPA money next year. The next question was about our board composition, and I made one mistake here that I need to correct. On our board, we have 36 total board members right now, and the city has 5 appointments, and the city has 15 total residents that live, that are on our board. And then you have Roanoke County 10, Salem 6, Botetourt 3, Franklin 1, and 1 from Floyd County, which happens to be Peter Lewis. I didn't mean to leave Peter out. He wanted to be here today. But a lot of those folks in Roanoke County own businesses in Roanoke City as well. So you know, we're again, it's we, us, and our. We're all in it together. So just flipping through the people from the city of Roanoke. Again, I know people say, wow, you've got a big board. Well, we're wanting the diversity. We want to see a wide range of different people from different backgrounds to strengthen our board and to help give us guidance as to how we should do marketing for the city and for the region. And here's Roanoke County, and many of these people are, you know, they're leaders in industry. They're people that are very smart. Even there's John Carlin up there. I know he's very smart, and certainly involved in the biking that we're doing. And then here's the city of Salem, and then here's Botetourt, head of Roanoke Gas, etc. And then Peter Lewis from Floyd. So looking at the composition of our executive committee, we have 4 people on our executive committee that are from the city of Roanoke. And the city manager is one of those folks. And that is about to change. And I'd like to introduce, have him stand, our new board chairs in about 2.5 weeks. Is going to be Mark Lucas. And our vice chair is Sonny Shaw. And so y'all know them. And so they're the ones that I report to every day, and hopefully they'll be pleased with what we continue to do. The nominating committee process, we've had some people ask some questions about that. You know, any organization needs continuity, and so your past chair, your vice chairs, and your chair, they are kind of a working committee, and then they take any ideas for who should be on the board to the executive committee. The executive committee consists primarily, the city manager is on there, And so there's no way we would go forward with any nominees to the board without the Roanoke City Manager's blessing. And so that's what's happened in the past, and we will continue working on that. But we're going to talk to you about the strategic planning process we're about to do, and governance is going to be one of the issues that we're going to certainly cover as part of that strategic planning process. We're the first state for economic development, and we say this because we've had a strategic plan that came into place in 2019, and it was really quite comprehensive in terms of what we were tasked to do. It wasn't just about producing room nights and room revenue. It was also about trying to build our destination. And the first one was enhance access and movement. We have really worked hard on a unified wayfinding program. We hired a company called Merge out of Pennsylvania, and we've been working with Iron Coffee and others, and you'll see a lot of these signs going up, but we want there to be uniform wayfinding throughout the region, and we've got cooperation on that. We work very closely with Amtrak, which we're going to talk to you a little bit more about. We work with the TPO. We're planning on having lights on all of our exit ramps so that when people are traveling on I-81, that they'll hopefully get off and spend their money. So we're looking at $14 million that was put in from TPO after 81's expanded. And then air service is very important to us, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Tourism zones, that's something to take advantage of. I know Salem has moved forward on that. We've worked with them. And also enhancing Mill Mountain. I see Mill Mountain as our Eiffel Tower. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to continue promoting that. We just put, along with our foundation, $50,000 into trails that Whit Ellerman and others are working on for a project for mountain biking. And we think that that's really essential as we are about to host USA Cycling. BBR Sports, a lot to talk about on that. That's exciting. And then what we're doing for new destination assets. I'm going to tell you, our biggest challenge right now when it comes to destination assets is capacity. Capacity when it comes to meeting space, capacity when it comes to needing sports space that's inside sports facilities, and so that we can continue expanding our market. One of the things that I really wanted to do was a news bureau as part of just to get all of our communications together from every jurisdictions, but I will tell you the previous city manager tabled that idea, and so maybe that's something we can revisit in the next strategic planning process. Outdoor recreation branding, I'll tell you, we work really close with Roanoke Outside. For a fact, we support financially many of their events that they do, like Go Fest and also Go Cross. America's East Coast mountain biking capital. Going to be hearing a lot about that because this is going to be the place to do cycling for the United States starting next year with USA Cycling. Culture and heritage is so critical. I mean, it's how we sell ourselves. I mean, and you know, when it comes to a destination, it's about the variety. The more you have on your menu to offer, the more likely you are to beat your competition. And so we're not just selling steaks, we're selling seafood, we're selling Italian, and Cuban and everything else so that we can get people here. So when it comes to, we support the cultural endowment. We have a Cheers Trail for all of our breweries and wineries, and one of the things that we're excited about with Williamson Road is putting together, we're actually putting together a dining guide for the first time that will really show the level and diversity of our cuisine, and that's going to be really, really great. And then in addition to that, we really love supporting the arts. We're big supporters of Roanoke Arts Pop. And we bought a sculpture that's now in downtown in Elmwood Park. It's a mountain biking sculpture that was there in support of the Roanoke Arts Council. Looking at resources, There's been some question, should we expand Virginia's Blue Ridge to other jurisdictions around us? I'm talking about Bedford and others. And at this point, I think the consensus is among our jurisdictions that they're happy with where the region is now. Our consultant that's coming in said the good thing about our region is that it's large and diverse. The bad thing about our region is that it's large. But that ends up helping us in terms of offerings and getting people here. Remember, we're not competing against ourselves. I mean, Salem is not a competitor. Franklin County is not a competitor. Asheville's a competitor. Richmond's a competitor. And we take that competition serious. Looking at, what we're doing in terms of, let's see, I'm on the wrong slide here. Okay, in terms of being able to bring folks in to help support our branding efforts, the 2024 team has helped bring in extra money from Carillion, from Roanoke Gas, from Berglund Automotive, et cetera, to really push what we're doing worldwide, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. In terms of organizational excellence, we will be reviewing our bylaws in our next stop with the next strategic planning process that starts in 2.5 weeks. I'm so happy that y'all are all going to be involved in that. I think your input is really, really critical. And also, we have several board task force where we feel like we need the expertise. For example, a healthcare task force, which is, we're going to be actually hosting our first neuroscience conference that we helped generate next week. And it's working with the Research Institute. And then we have a bike council and also sports council and public affairs council, which we work with the city on that. And if you're not scheduled to be with us as part of the planning process, we would like to really encourage you to participate in this strategic planning process. As far as the airport, great question. I love this question. We have great relations with the airport. Not only is Mike Stewart a UT graduate like me, but we are all together as one on many ways. But each year we have the airport come in and present to our board of directors so that we can stay up to speed on what's going on at the airport and how we can support them. We train their ambassadors to make sure that they know what is going on in the region and the city. We provide free electronic kiosks for their concourse. We have paid advertising to welcome people in the baggage claim area. We have a new exhibit that people can take a selfie of themselves and share that with their friends. We also have historically, and been working with Mike very recently, there's new lift coming in. There's a new flight that's going to be coming in. I'm not going to get ahead of him, but we've already got our PR agency working with his folks to take full advantage of the new seats that we have coming in. And then, of course, anytime we have a large meeting or anything like that, from a sports events, et cetera, we end up having our greeters out there. Moving forward on the air service and how we do marketing, we have a great PR agency that we work with out of Atlanta called Pineapple. And so we have good PR going in these markets, whether it be New York, Washington, D.C., Charlotte, and Atlanta in particular, and do actively market there. And then we do an incredible amount of digital advertising, especially in the New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Charlotte, and Atlanta and Florida markets, so that people will hopefully end up choosing to fly ROA and fly in from other markets. And the other thing that's really important is we like to lead by example. We tell our employees that you can't fly out of any other airport other than ROA, and we encourage everybody in the industry to support that. Now I'd like to ask Deborah if she would come and give a quick recap of marketing, and then we'll be right back.
Good morning. Again, I appreciate you having us here again today. I just want to do just a very quick overview of some of the marketing campaigns and some of the things that we've been doing with marketing and sales. Leading with a Metro Mountain adventure. We feel like this is really our tagline, really what sets us apart from other destinations. Roanoke City, with the metro aspect of it, has everything that a large city has, but some things just maybe on a smaller scale. But then it's surrounded by the scenic Blue Ridge Mountains and Appalachian Mountains. Really feels like this is kind of key, and this resonates with our residents as well as visitors. We show it in a pyramid, again, at the top of the pyramid, kind of showing again what sets us apart, our unique assets, and then with accommodations and that craft food and beverage, building that foundation on the bottom. Looking at our key feeder markets, again, key feeder markets would be in the major cities and coastal areas of Virginia and North Carolina. Those are what we really hone into. But having said that, we have our secondary markets, especially as it relates to Interstate 81, which you see in green here. But then also, as Landon indicated, we really do focus on converting the Amtrak market as well as the air market, because those are important to us as well. So how do we do this? Leading with search engine optimization. As many of you all know, Google is kind of king in our area as it relates to marketing, and we are also doing, embracing that by doing more AI and chat GPT. Again, as it relates to SEO and ranking up high, we're putting in listings based on that chat GPT and AI, so they'll rank higher. We look at our website as kind of a portal to our partners. We have over 1,600 partners, of which almost 700 of those partners have free membership in the city of Roanoke. So this is our way of really boosting those listings so that they rank higher and they get more information and ultimately travel. Pay-per-click, of course, is key. Again, that's where you're paying to be up at the top, so that works seamlessly with SEO. And including Performance Max, which is relatively new. Performance Max uses images, and you're still paying for that, but that way it ranks higher. And again, with our incredible photography that we have, it works very well for us. It's a way of display advertising, but it's more effective. So we're continuing to work on that. Social media, again, organic and paid. YouTube being the second platform after Google Analytics, or Google rather. Connect TV, that's our streaming TV that so many of us are doing now, instead of buying the actual cable. Email marketing, out of home, print, digital, and feeder market visits that we'll talk a little bit further about. So starting with our website, Visit VBR. We received over 1.8 million unique visitors last year, and you can see here that we had almost 72% engagement in that. So again, people are coming in and they're engaging with that content. So to kind of put that in perspective, that's 5,163 unique, meaning new visitors that are coming to this website every single day. So we have a lot of people coming in. They're coming in from those external markets, and you can see that there's 72% is coming in through mobile. So again, we kind of look at that as we're designing our website. Looking at how the people are coming in, 80% of the people are coming from that Google, and then also Facebook, which is key to us, and then that's complemented with our other marketing programs, making up that overall marketing media mix. So how are we doing it? We're driving people with seasonal content. Our calendar of events is one of our key pages that people are coming to. We are doing blogs and content as it relates to, again, events, performances, anything that we have that we can engage with the customer. We're a welcoming destination. We have pages and we continue to do content as it relates to Black history and LGBTQ. And then another important part on this is we are encouraging our partners as well as our localities to create new product for us. We're trying to do it and we engage in it, but we really look at our organization as kind of that marketing arm in order to get that content out. So two things that we did this past year is Hidden in Plain Sight and the Henrietta Lacks statue that we got to enjoy for about 30 minutes while we were waiting outside in the area out there. So social media, again, huge. You can see 5.7 million unique people that are coming back to our site, and engaging with our content. So when we say engage, it's not just followers. These are people who are liking, who are sharing, or who are commenting on our post. So again, that's leading. Facebook is kind of the leading platform for that, followed closely by Instagram. And then we had 6,400 hours watched to YouTube. So that's equivalent basically to, I think, over 265 days, 24 hours of people that are watching our video. So kind of fun when you kind of convert the numbers and look at that in a different perspective. The city of Roanoke is integral in everything that we do, and examples of that for social media, as well as including video and images. And then strategic partnerships. This is key to us. Again, how can we engage with our partners and really be that marketing arm and get that information out? All the way to that we've started doing video and program with RVTV. So we are working on how we can create new content with them and get that out. Looking very quickly at the NOVA campaign, 2023, the objective for this is over and above our foundation marketing, okay? I want to emphasize that this, again, freed up money based on the ARPA money that Landon mentioned, that we were able to do this. So it was all about brand awareness with that Metro Mountain Adventure, education, trying to inform people where we are along Interstate 81 and the Blue Ridge Parkway, new opportunities as we have those come up, and then accessibility, again, by Drive Market, by Amtrak, as well as AIR. So what we did is we took a program we have, it's called Zartico. It's an industry standard. Most people, the larger destinations, have this program. And what it is it basically takes Google Analytics, it takes the Star Report, which is our hotel information, it takes key data, which is Vrbo and Airbnb, so that's how Landon got where those areas were plotted there, as well as phone data, as well as credit card information. Okay, so we're pulling all that information to make good decisions on how we're doing marketing. So with this, DC continues to come up as top for that. So you can see on here the visitation compared to other locations, and then you can also see the spend. So it looks like Richmond is way outspending. They are, and we're continuing to watch that. Just based on this graph, that's about a 3% more spend. So we continue to watch that, but DC has more visitors coming, so not only are we trying to encourage them to come, but to spend more money, and how we can do that. So with that, again, we're tracking it through Google Analytics, based on website traffic, which is key. We had over 69% of the traffic was coming from that market, an increase from the year prior to. So again, we know that this is a good market. And then you can see the other statistics that are in there. So it's good for us, and we know that what we're seeing, people coming into our website, follows trends on the actual visitors. But what's more important, and what we really want to know about, is are they coming, right? So based on this, again, it was from the campaign from 23, June through December of 2023. And again, we'll have this data for the 24 campaign. But we could see that 7% year over year change from this market, 26% change in their visitor spend. So again, that was what we were trying to do, bring them here and get them to spend more. And the average spend went up 20%, or $127 per person per day. Okay, so we're going to continue to watch that. So for 2024, we led with a lot of the same things, but we tweaked a lot of things too, based on what we saw was performing well and what we could do better. We decided to stay with that same creative, which was created in-house, so that saves money so that we could spend more on actual advertising. And the campaign did well from the creative. In fact, 2024 out-of-home local case study, we were a finalist in the award for that. So that was submitted, and we were ranked very high on that. So, metro stations. Before we did the Silver Line, this time we were in 2 locations and we did a station takeover. Instead, this time we spent our money, we went into 5 different metro stations. They're the top visited metro stations, and we, instead of doing a complete takeover, we identified where the main traffic was coming in. So here's the 5 that we were working on, and to get a feel for what it looked like when I say takeover, we were on the ceilings, we were on the floors, we were on the walls, and we even had digital in every single metro station. And then the buses. I know many of you went to the area and saw the buses. We decided we went from 30 buses to 60 buses, and instead of doing the back and the sides, we just did the sides. So this was great, creative, that a lot of people saw that, so that was fun to see. A new campaign was through wrapping cars that were with Lyft and Uber. So they were also traveling around in this area, and we even did swarms where these cars all came together at major events like the Cherry Blossom Festival or the Nationals game and different things like that. So the drivers were versed about Roanoke and Virginia's Blue Ridge and given a card with a QR code so that they could come to our website. Amtrak. So this is an area where we were trying to get in, and we finally made our way into it this year. So we did a takeover for May and June. We actually looked at April, but Los Angeles was there. So we were competing with larger cities as well. And so we had a great relationship with them. And so again, much like the metro station takeover, you can see we're up high, we're on the pillars, we're on the walls, and we have that digital. And then we were on the actual trains, which I believe these are still running there. And I know many of you all have commented that you've seen these as well. Vista Graphics is retargeting. As we work down through that funnel, we want to be able to retarget people who've come to our website and get them to engage in our content. So we followed up with emails, and actually this was one of our most effective programs. So much so that we wanted to do even more retargeting. So we went with a new company called Epsilon, and this is where they can identify based on credit card spending when people have come here. So what we did is we targeted people who had been here in the past 5 years and then retargeted them with display advertising, emails, all sorts of digital marketing to try to bring them back here again. So what's interesting is this is a case of where we can actually see what's happening. So we had a $50,000 investment in this, and so this is only March through June, and we know through the campaign last year that that extended on through the rest of the year, especially through that fall area. But with our $50,000 spend, they can track people who have actually seen our ad, and they've come here and spent $773,000, which is a 15-to-1 return on investment. So we love programs like this. We are always looking at what the programs are telling us. We're looking at our Zardico. We're comparing all the different trends, adapting as needed. So PR complements everything that we do with marketing, and I hope everyone has seen the different spots that we had on Good Morning Washington. Catherine Lucas, who heads up that, actually went there and was interviewed, and then we had five-minute spots that headed that session each day of the week that highlighted Virginia's Blue Ridge, and there was one specifically on Roanoke, and the rest of them kind of related to where they were. So say if they were in Botetourt, they would say that they were 30 minutes from the city of Roanoke. Again, that kind of hub and spoke in how we market. Star City, visiting Roanoke and Virginia's Blue Ridge. You know, leading with that star, as Landon said, that is our Eiffel Tower. We are proud of that. Again, that is the hub. This got syndicated to over 155 different locations. You can see with Fox, NBC, ABC, Yahoo. When we give our numbers, we're not including when they're syndicated. So again, we try to give conservative numbers to you when we're doing that. But again, this was a great article, as well as Southern Living with Black Dog Salvage, 25 best hiking cities in the U.S. with Roanoke leading in that. The Today Show, again, highlighting Liberty Trust. And then just kind of looking again at some of the KPIs with 325 articles. So again, surely you can see where we're not counting that 155 with those syndicated numbers. And so with other initiatives, MAPRA, thank you. Many of you all attended MAPRA. We greatly appreciate that. MAPRA is the Mid-Atlantic Tourism Public Relations Alliance, and it was quite a coup for us to be able to host this conference. It was about 120 people, of which about 60 of them were writers and representing 165 publications. So I hope you're already seeing on social some of the images and videos, as well as we've already had people tell us about some of the articles that they've started on doing. So again, we're going to see that. That's what happens with it. It's so unique in that we build these relationships. It's like planting that seed that then we start seeing social, we start seeing articles, we build those relationships, and we continue to see those articles years later. So nice segue into meetings, because this was huge from a meeting perspective as well. We were involved in 48 of the different meetings coming in last year for an estimated direct spending of over $2.6 million coming in for that. Just to give you a feel, these are some that were specifically in the city and showing you the economic impact on that. Again, a lot of the meetings, again, with Hotel Roanoke are coming into the city, but just wanted to kind of give you a showcase of some of those. And again, looking at the numbers as far as 50 bookings that came in. So something that's a little bit unique is an incentive program. We have an incentive program with our meetings, and this is where we're actually giving money out to planners and to groups. With COVID, many of the associations suffered, and you all are probably familiar with this, because they weren't able to have their annual meetings, and that was an important way of them generating income. So what we do is we help try to offset some of those costs and give back to incentivize groups to come here. So this current fiscal year, we have about $124,000 that we're giving out to different meetings. And then we started a new program for an additional $65,000 that goes to third-party meeting planners. So what that is just a person who their job is to work with different associations to ultimately bring in these groups. So we're incentivizing them now to come in as well. So this is going to be a unique program, but you can see basically we've got about $200,000 that goes toward really trying to bring in those meetings. Sports is huge. 54 groups that we brought in for economic impact of over 20 million just in sports alone. Looking at some that the city specifically was rewarded basically with this and represented was the wrestling that we had here, as well as the Senior World Cup. That was all over Virginia's Blue Ridge, but again, the city had the majority of the rooms for that, as well as the Fall Classic, Kickoff Classic. I'm getting tongue-tied. So looking at some of the numbers, again, we had 65 bookings for a total of 48,000 rooms. And what we're going to start to do is really look at participation in athletes that are coming in instead of those room nights, because we think that that's going to be a more accurate number and seems to be the trend. Again, assisting with 46 different groups and sports. And then would be remiss if I didn't bring up the mountain biking, USA Cycling, endurance and marathon mountain bike. So USA Cycling is who we worked with for the amateur road race that we had 2 years. So that's what we want to do. You know, they're going to rotate around different sports. And that really was, this is the one that we really wanted, because we really do shine with our mountain biking. So again, we have them for July of 25 and 26 with the option of doing 27 and 28. This will bring in over 1,600 athletes, not to include trainers or spectators. So we really are excited about those numbers and having everybody in for a full week. So that's an estimated economic impact of $2.2 million. And I just wanted to highlight too that the U.S. team in the Olympics for mountain biking was the best it's ever been. So much so that they medaled, both men and women, and they will be present at this competition. So that we're going to have all sorts of levels here. And again, that's how we can really build on it and build our spectators so that people can see that. Well, I couldn't leave out, if I'm going to talk about Olympics, right, I couldn't leave out our 2024 team that did very well, Jennifer Valentes. Of the 40 gold medals, she brought back 2 of them. And so we are so excited to have her representing Virginia's Blue Ridge. In fact, she will be here for our annual meeting, which will be October 10th at the Salem Civic Center. So we invite you all and hope that you're able to attend. Thank you. Again, we could not do any of this without you. The city and everything that you all do is so important to us. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Have any questions?
And good presentation. Now I'll yield to my colleagues that have any questions that they want to ask.
Stephanie, you want to?
No, I'm good.
You guys go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you both for your presentation. I heard it Friday, and we'll hear it again today, and so every time I hear it, it helps me a lot. I asked the mayor if we could, go at least stop at the like first question that we pose to you and then the second question, because at the end of the presentation, what happens to me is everything gets convoluted, and then I have to go back and unpack it all and try to decipher the questions that I wanted to ask. But the question number one.
Well, let me just say, one of the reasons I didn't do that, because they were given a certain time to get through this process, and I wanted them to get through that, and we got the questions in front of us. We can go back and they can explain it, and they touch bases on a lot of it going through it. But if we get going on certain things, they draw that time spell out when we talk about asking questions as they go through the presentation. So I wanted them to complete that. That's why, that was why I decided just to go through that, and now we can ask questions if we have them. That's why I responded.
And thank you, Mayor, for doing that. It just makes it more challenging for me to try to go back and unpack it all. But some of the questions were answered. But, you know, one of the reasons that you're here is because we asked the question, you know, describe the direct return on our investment. You know, that's the $1 million question. Actually, it's a $2.1 million question. And so you've done that to a degree. I guess what I want to ask is, you have all of the marketing tools, and when you talk about strategic plan, what you have, really, we talked about that. I think you're going to do something differently moving forward on a strategic plan, right? You're going to talk about the vision, the goals, and the outcomes. That, you know, you have to have that incorporated when you talk about a strategic plan. I don't think that was in the last plan, and I think that was what was confusing to some of us. But when you talk about the numbers with Zydeco and Epsilon, some of those numbers you say are a direct impact of what you have done, your marketing, and some of it's organic. So the organic number is pretty small, because you're saying this is what the city would do on its own without your marketing. You have to, and I told you this would be my question, and you would have to help me with this. We have to make sure that we are connecting the two, that we are showing a direct correlation between what you have done as your marketing and the direct outcomes, because some of the numbers, like you included some of the things that we do, you know, with the football game or whatever, some of those things were already set up with the city and the mayor and whoever set that up. So we just want to make sure, not just for me, because I kind of understand where you're going, and we talked about this on Friday, Mr. Howard, and that's right. We want to see that direct correlation, because we want to see where our dollars are. So if you could just kind of sum that up for not just me, but for, like Ms. Moonrills always say, but for everybody that is listening, because that's the $1 million question, number one for me, aside from revamping the strategic plan. I think that's key, and I think we all understand that moving forward we're going to do that. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you on that, because it does make a lot of sense.
I can go first. Yes, we have a lot of different numbers. I know the table that Landon showed you, again, showing that 11-to-1 return, and I hear what you're saying specifically as it relates to the city. So what we have to do is look at different sample sizes from the different research that we have. So for example, I can tell you that we have looked at Zydeco, and we can see, based on, again, our spending and what we're doing, that the city is getting the majority of the visitors. We can see that they're actually coming here based on the phone, as well as credit card spending, coming to the city, and they're spending the most at the city. So I'm able to see that through Zydeco. I don't have that graphic or those numbers specifically here today, but I'm happy to share that. I want to say it's 40-some% of all the area is coming here, and I know that spending, again, is pushing that like 140 number of what they're spending per day. And again, then based on, you know, Epsilon, what they're seeing, and then that they're actually coming here, we will, once we get the final report, we will be able to see a better idea of where they're spending the money and exactly if they're coming, you know, to the city, and how much they're spending there.
And how much they're spending.
Right.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just a little early for this year to see where those campaigns are going to come in.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned on Friday, and I understand that, but I just think it's important that you're able to connect that and show that. So, but that was my question. I think I had, that was it. I had something else about the organic number, but like I said, it kind of, once you go through the thing, it's like it's all convoluted to me right now. But thank you for answering that question. Thank you.
Well, you have to spend money to make money, And
You
that's
do.
one of the things that we do. Before I even knew where Roanoke was, the first 10 years, just looking at the graph there, that was what the funding was for tourism marketing. And so, we were getting weddings and people were coming in for football games and that kind of thing. But it wasn't until we started actually developing a brand, get out there with incredible PR, because at the time we didn't have any money, and then the formula was put together. The formula was put together with Salem and Roanoke County. So the partnership is with those three jurisdictions, and then Botetourt came on board and Franklin after that. So still, the thing that I will tell you is that we market the variety, and it's really important that you own McAfee's Knob, that you own the Natural Bridge and D-Day Memorial, and people will stay in our hotels and go out just like we do when we travel for vacation, and we track all of that. And I don't mind saying we have like 300 geo fences, and you can see that 70-something% of our market has cell phones, and so when they show up, we know when they hit the geo fence. So yeah, we can track it.
And one final question for me, Mr. Mayor. When we meet to talk about the strategic plan, will you allow us any input about that nominating process for the executive board, or is that something?
Governance is part of, it's one of the issues on the agenda, yeah. I mean, I think that certainly governance is part of it.
Yeah, I just want to make
Ms.
sure.
Whiteboard, that is spelled out in the regional agreement. The only agreement that's been entered into by the city does spell out governance.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I did have some questions about the nominating process, but I won't get into it here. We'll have an opportunity to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Landon, and that really good Deborah that you've got, who knows all the numbers. And to your board, it really helps to have been here watching what we did as a community before the Bureau got started. And I know Virginia's Blue Ridge is a great name that everybody envies, and it's something that we really didn't focus on, I don't think, adequately until you all brought all of us together to look at the big picture. I'm at the moment trying to get Valley Metro to change its name to Blue Ridge Transit, because it seems like to me that fits. But the big picture here is we get a whole lot more working together than we got separately. And I don't think we totally understood that, nor did we have any kind of a strategic mission about who might be out there and who we could convince to come to Roanoke. I go back to the point where the Norfolk and Western or Norfolk Southern closed the hotel, and some of those people didn't even act like they wanted to think about reopening it. We've been through a lot, and I know we have the majority of the hotel motel rooms in the city, which means we benefit the most when you all are successful. I think the most important thing is for you all to understand that in order for us sitting on this dais to be able to tell the taxpayers of Roanoke who invest in the Bureau and many other things exactly what they get, because we're doing this much better than we used to. That sometimes seems onerous, I'm sure, to you all, because it's a pain in the neck, but that's the kind of thing we as a council and staff need to clearly understand, so that if there's an opportunity for us to do more because we get a bigger ROI, then we have the chance to understand the details and we can do that. I appreciate your understanding how important that little bit of detail is to this council and to our staff. But as an individual who not only was here way ahead of that time, but who ran a tourist attraction, I would not have gotten nearly where we got with the Transportation Museum had it not been for help from you all. Explain to me, as head of a bankrupt corporation, where I could spend money and get some return on investment. You have been helpful to so many organizations like the Transportation Museum and others. I think the most important thing we need to do is let you know how much we appreciate the big picture and the big win. and I'm not a biker. I'm not going to be a biker. I don't understand all the hype about biking. But I understand if it brings money to the Roanoke Valley, that it is healthy for the city of Roanoke. So I ask that you keep on looking for those things. And I think it's important that you keep your eye not just on that, but other opportunities as well, and I know you're doing that. But I would say thank you to you and your board for making a huge difference over the time that has come. I remember Dave got us started, and then Landon came on board. We've come a long way, baby. You all need to keep on doing that, but it's so critical that you keep us in detailed awareness of how our money gets spent and what our return is, so that we don't have any questions about whether we support Virginia's Blue Ridge or not. And that is significant. You've done a great job, and thank you so much for taking your time to come today.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate the support and those comments. The next 5 years is going to be critical, and in terms of how we plan. And I'll just tell you, I mean, and if there's any one message I could get across, it's the issue of capacity. We are running out of capacity. And if we want to see continued growth at the level that we've seen, I mean, we've got conventions and sports groups that want to come here, and there's no room for them. And so we really need help. I mean, and, you know, we're about, USA Cycling combined 3 national tournaments into one. And they're going to love our mountain biking trails to death. And guess what? Tens of thousands of people are going to come in because they've seen this, and USA Cycling being here. How are we going to maintain our product? And if you ask me what I'm worried about, that's the main thing I'm worried about, is where do we go from here over the next 5 years? And we need your help, because we don't have a cash register, and we don't have the means in which to do that. So it's going to take council's leadership to help us figure out how to get there.
Have you not talked to, that guy with the bow tie? He can loan you that money.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Wilmer?
Yeah.
And maybe Mark too. But I mean, bottom line, you're right. And some of you don't remember, Hotel Roanoke was not going to be built as big as it is. And some of us on this council at the time told Bob Herbert, you need to build that room bigger than you are anticipating. And he still says something to me about that. But the big thing is, if you can bring them, we need to provide for them. And I see the hotel right there, and I know they're talking about some stuff, and we're really excited about that right now. Come a long way since Dr. Torgerson stood up at the groundbreaking, said, if I'd been president of the university, we would not have done this. Now, why he chose to say that, I don't know. But the big picture is, we've done the right thing many times. Please, again, keep us informed and let us know what we can do to help, because we don't want to send those people and those dollars to places like Greensboro and Asheville and our competitors. We want them here because we have something that's working well.
Well, we have 8,000 people in this region employed in the travel and tourism industry, and I think that I can see a day very soon we're going to have up to 10,000. But my main concern right now is, when we hire those people full-time, can they stay in and get their 40 hours a week in January, February, and March too? You know, that's why I wanted an indoor sports complex on the campus of Virginia Western, and that got shot down. So that's why this strategic planning process is important.
All right. Hold on, let me go to Peter first. That's all, and Joe. Peter?
I kind of want to go back to one of the things that Mr. Fitzpatrick said, and that we sit here and we are here because of the taxpayers. And we want to know about that return on investment because of the taxpayers. And we also want to make sure that there's appropriate governance going on in this organization. Have you read the regional agreement that was signed back in, 2010?
Yes.
2013?
Yes, I'm aware of it.
You're aware of it. Okay, so can you please explain to me how we got such a large board when in that agreement it states that there's only 17 people that are a part of that board.
Since, just like the city manager doesn't appoint the city council, I don't appoint the board that I work for. So I'm going to ask my incoming board chair and vice chair to come up and answer those questions for you.
Sure.
Mark, Lucas, and Sunny Shaw. Congratulations, guys. Welcome to chair and vice chair.
Thank you very much. Yeah, get the hot seat right off the bat.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
I have not read that agreement, but I can tell you how the board generally, at least from my experience, how boards are assembled. So I've been the president or CEO of 6 different companies and have reported to boards as well. And generally, the construction of a board, what you really want is a board that's supportive of the people that they hire. And so obviously, Landon is appointed by the board, and you want to hire the best and the greatest that you can possibly hire. And then you put them in that position and let them do their job. You know, you give them the ability to do that job. As a board member, even as chair, I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to look over their shoulder and second guess their decisions, but just want to make sure that they're supported by the board as a whole, and that any encumbrances or barriers that are in front of them, that we help them get through that. And then clearly work with folks like yourself to make sure that we're being governed correctly. So.
Also, I'm incoming vice chair if I get elected in September. And my goal for the organization, as far as I'm concerned, VBR staff is doing an excellent job. And we are producing that results which hotel industry would like to have. So congratulations to Landon and Deborah. But the thing is the board, yeah, I can agree somewhat it can be a bigger board. But at that time when the board was, we were increasing the board members, we wanted input from all the people involved in the community and the different organizations, different markets. I think we can consider down the road, if it is possible, to reduce some numbers and have more options to the board members to recommend people who wants to come in the VBR board. And we will encourage them as executive committee chair and vice chair. But that was a time we had a larger number, and we can consider bringing it down because to have it better organized.
In all due respect, that wasn't the question. The question is that we have a regional agreement that states who is supposed to be on the board of this organization. And we now have 36 people on that organization, 15 from the city, 10 from the county, 6 from the city of Salem. These things are not in that agreement. So my point that I'm trying to make is that you have, 25 of these 36 people on your board were elected by the board and not appointed by the city council or the board of supervisors. So you have more than, there's only 10 people that are appointed that are actually on your board. When you go and look at that agreement that we started with, that had Roanoke having 5, Roanoke County having 2, Salem having 2, 1 for Montauk County and 1 for Franklin County. So those numbers have been diluted by adding on board members. So as a city citizen, I wonder why there are all these board members when the agreement says that there's not supposed to be that many, and that the majority of the folks on the board have no connection to an elected body, so they have no need to be transparent or any, there's nobody that they have to respond to. That's where I have a big problem with what's going on at VBR. Not only do we have majority of people aren't appointed by the agreement that we have all signed on to, which we all signed on to in good faith, not expecting us to have a board that decided to expand itself by over double. You also have issues where you have your chair is not, we appoint people every year from the city, from the county and all that. Your board members don't have that same thing when they're on the executive board. So you have a chair that's leaving after 7 years who was never appointed, 7 years, never appointed, elected on by himself, by the board, and has been there for that time. Do you think that the taxpayer wants to see that in an organization?
Of With all due respect, Mr. Wallace, and I understand where you're going, but I don't think these gentlemen had anything to do with that. I think we would probably bring Mr. Howard back up to answer some of these questions as opposed to these two young men, because
I'm happy to.
they've been in this seat for 2 minutes, and they're looking like I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So
Yep.
I respect your comments, all due respect, Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But I just think that they are just, I just don't think that they are the two people that should try to answer that question.
I think the former chair should be here.
Well, that might be more appropriate, but he is not.
Yeah.
One thing I heard Mr. Howard say is that they're going through this process. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to work together. I'm going to channel my inner Bev Fitzpatrick, that together we can come together and resolve a lot of these issues.
But I did
working
ask
together.
if they would allow us to be a part of the nominating process, because there are some flaws, and they said yes, they
Correct.
would.
And that's part of
Yeah.
the
I mean,
regional
the-
agreement to governance.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, I apologize for wading in, but I
And I
saw an
apologize to Mr.
opportunity.
Wallace.
Thank you.
Well, and I think we want to keep it to the level where everybody can understand what we're doing and those kinds of things. So, thank you, guys.
Yeah, we are looking forward working together with that.
And you're in a position to make change.
Yes, and we look forward to it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, but I also wonder how these two chair and vice chair who have not been appointed by any locality are said chair and vice chair. This does not, just because you guys did not do it, does that mean that we need to perpetuate it any longer? And so I hope that you will work with the localities to make sure that the board is appropriate. We're here to represent the people who pay the money to make this organization run. And, you know, it is a little disappointing that the one who's done those things is not here, and that the executive director doesn't seem to know what's going on with those things.
Well,
I also
Okay.
wanted to bring I'm sorry,
He's not finished, Mayor.
I still have a couple of other questions.
all right.
Mr. Howard, if you don't mind? I noticed that when you looked up competitor budgets, you have on there Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Did you mean Greensboro, North Carolina?
It was Winston-Salem that I saw.
Okay, so is Greensboro not one of our competitors? Because I don't see it on this list.
It is, but I didn't have a chance to call them.
Okay. So I'm a bit confused as to how we are at the bottom of this list. I understand you said that Asheville gets all of their tourism dollars back into their DMO. Is that the same with all the other ones, like Virginia Beach, Richmond, Raleigh, Chattanooga? Because Asheville has a budget 8 times the size of ours and is not even as big of a city as we are.
I do know that they get 100% of the bed tax, where what happens is we get 3/8 of the bed tax, and the city keeps 5/8 of the bed tax.
I meant other locations like Virginia Beach.
I would just ask for what their budget was, and that was all we did.
Okay. So there could be a little bit more look into that. You also just going back to the governance, you now have somebody from Floyd County on the board. Floyd County isn't even represented in this DMO.
Isn't that
The nomination.
Isn't that what we're going to work out based on
Absolutely.
what Mr. Spencer
So
said?
I'm bringing
So,
the point, sir.
yeah, I think we can do that in those direct meetings.
Thank you.
I think the public deserves to know after 7 years of not having an appointed person as chair, what's going on with their money. Another thing is how the board is actually nominated. There is no board nomination process until today. This is the first time it's ever been brought up or written down. And I know that because we've asked for many of the documents from you guys. But the second one on that board nomination process, the slate of candidates for the board are presented to the executive committee for input, edits, additions before providing it to the entire board of directors for consideration. As you may know, my husband is a member of the board, and none of those nomination things actually happened. So I look again, where's the governance? If the executive board is deciding who is going to be on the executive board and elected all these people that are not appointed, then there is another issue for governance. And the last thing I wanted to ask you, What role does VBR play in securing non-sport related conferences at the Hotel Roanoke?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What role does VBR play in securing non-sport related conferences at the Hotel Roanoke? We talk a lot about sports. Obviously in the city, we want more conventions that are going to the hotel. So could you please talk a bit about what your role is with that?
We attend multiple trade shows. Our job is to produce leads, and then what we do is we work very closely hand in glove with the Hotel Roanoke, and I'm going to put him on the spot because, Brian, why don't you come up and let the council know how we work with you on booking meetings. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice to be here in council again, council chambers. But yeah, I've been here 8 years, and I've been incredibly impressed over those 8 years with the variety of talent that is recruited and works at Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge. As far as having a partner in our destination that we can work with, they've been outstanding, completely supportive. I don't think Landon or his team has ever said no if we ask specifically for support for any of our conventions or conferences, including recently for a $5,000 incentive to maintain and recruit the District Court Judge Conference that comes every 2 years here to Roanoke. It's well over a $200,000 piece of business, not just at Hotel Roanoke. Those folks do dine-arounds. They enjoy the city. All our marketing and the support that we get from Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge really promotes downtown Roanoke as our best amenity. We're real proud of what we have. We're real proud of how we maintain our property. But really, the difference is the amenity of downtown Roanoke. And we use that ourselves constantly. The incentive program that Landon mentioned is to incent more meetings into the city, which we've been using. The landscape for third-party meeting planners and the commissions that are paid via Marriott's and Hilton's of the world, those policies keep changing with those brands, and the playing field is not level all the time. And one of the things that we want to do is incent those third-party planners with a little extra percentage to steer business into Roanoke, and it's been effective. It's been effective around the country. Our management company, Pyramid Global, based in Boston, has national sales. One of our best practices is to incent those third-party planners and help steer business into need periods, which is critical. We're thrilled that the Conference Center Commission for Hotel Roanoke has approved an expansion, so we'll get a third ballroom, which is real important. Like Landon said, there's some asset restriction issues, and we see that. That's going to allow us to diversify our business in addition to maintaining our top clients. We've got clients that are outgrowing Hotel Roanoke and Conference Center because of a space issue and their success. So there's a lot of great things, and specifically just this summer with the campaign in Northern Virginia, we track our web referrals and our web traffic additionally, and we see Ashburn market as rising up to be the second top referral geographically to our web traffic. And then uniquely this summer, New York has entered the top 5, which has never been the case before. So, I would say Amtrak's part of that, in addition to some of the marketing that VBR has done. And, on our own behalf, we identified an opportunity with USA Today. They had a Mid-Atlantic Northeast vacation publication, and we wanted to get into it. Little pricey for a one property. Approached Landon, Deborah, and team, and they wholeheartedly co-opt that ad with us. We were able to run it, and part of that was to target north of DC, right? Do a little beta test, and I think we're seeing good results. So they're completely open. Anytime we have a group that needs a little extra support financially, they're open to step in. And additionally, some of those welcome amenities that promote the region, in addition to provide hospitality. They're constantly providing, whether it's a small thing like a pair of socks, right? You know, I have clients from 2 years ago got that pair of socks, and they still have them, you know, so it's pretty positive for us. And I see the efforts as a destination growing, specifically because of many efforts, but uniquely VBR has the opportunity to promote in certain ways. And because of these things, I actually nominated them for a Hospitality Hero Award with Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association, and they're finalists. So everyone keep your fingers crossed. September 12th in Richmond, that award will be assigned. And so I'm thrilled with them as a partner, and not really sure how they could do much better for us at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to want to move on. Now I'm going to ask Vice Mayor Cobb has a couple of questions, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Landon, and thanks to everyone who's here today. I just wanted to reflect on three kind of key things that I've heard today that it sounds like would be you would welcome, and I think council would welcome some further reflection and time to vision about or dream about some things. And while these reflect some of the challenges that we're facing, I think they also reflect some opportunities. So the first is, how do we increase tourism funding? Maybe within the transit occupancy tax, but beyond that. So that's one thing I hope we can spend some time dreaming about and reflecting on. The second is, and you alluded to this, Landon, and that is the pretty urgent challenge we're facing related to capacity. And, you know, we talk a lot in our city right now about housing and creating diverse housing opportunities. I would venture to say we need that with hotel capacity too. Yeah. And part of the challenge becomes where. You know, some of it's rehabbed. We just had a hotel that actually is no longer a hotel. It's now apartment units, the old Sheraton. So how do we balance those competing, both very important needs within the city? And I would love to hear, and I think we'd all love to hear some thoughts you all have on how we might better do that. And it's all related to the third, which is as we look at our growth trajectories as a city in terms of population, we also have to look at our regional growth. Because everything we do related to tourism, though it has a direct impact on the city, it's about bringing people to the region to celebrate our incredible assets here. And what that equates is that a lot of people who visit here end up moving here. And wherever they live in the region, they're going to come into Roanoke at some point, because we're the business center, we're the social service center, we're the arts and culture center, we're the innovation center. So it's all a connection. But I hope, too, that we can look at how to expand our engagement with our economic development offices and partners. I know we're already doing some of that to a certain degree with the regional partnership. But I see those three things as all interrelated. And so it's not really a question, more an opportunity. And I hope that maybe through the strategic planning process, we can address some of those issues. But to me, this is going to be an ongoing conversation we need to have over not only the immediate future, but the next 5 years, the next 10 years.
Thank you. I think it's great observations. The strategic plan that we're going through now is specific to the travel and tourism industry, and the goal is to have that completed and ready to present in November. Okay, so we're moving on it pretty quickly. Tomorrow, and I don't think John Hull would mind me saying this, is that we're also working on what's called a destination process, a destination alignment process. What does that mean? It means that economic development, workforce development, and tourism working together. And so, you know, that we see in the EU where, you know, communities and countries work together. And so
what we are hoping to do is to identify the key industry clusters that we need to focus in on. And then we need to support that from a travel and tourism standpoint. If it's going to be neuroscience, if it's going to be technology, what are the automotive, what are those key areas that economic development are going to be focusing in on? And then we need to help target, because we have the larger budget for place marketing, we need to help target areas where that can benefit those clusters. Develop the strategies and the outcomes, which then leads to the need for identifying infrastructure. But you're right, I mean, in my conversations with Roanoke County and with Salem and Botetourt, they basically deal with the same issues. Whether it be housing and other growth challenges. And the key is growing right. And I think we can do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Let me just say that as we close
Mayor,
this,
excuse me, Bill. I'll make it short, you know.
please.
Mr. Howard, I would like to know why Salem and Roanoke County, they have their tourism office in spite of being part of the agreement. And also, do you think Roanoke City should have their own tourism office?
Well, there is one person in Salem, it's Kerry Harvey Cutter. He works 32 hours a week, and his principal job is the fair and running the fair. And also, he has a relationship with the NCAA. But we are the ones that pretty much represent Salem and do the marketing for them and the like. Roanoke County, I don't know what they depend on us from the tourism standpoint, but I know that they have somebody that's tied in park and recreation that does they end up booking their music at Explore Park and that kind of thing. But as far as out marketing, they don't do any out marketing. They depend on us to do all that out marketing. Roanoke having a tourism department, I would say that DRI is really in that role where they are developing downtown events and also creating an atmosphere for that a tourism department would do. And so I think anything like that would be a tourism department in the city of Roanoke would be a duplication of effort in what we're doing. What we need is more resources for us to compete on behalf of the city of Roanoke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Let me say, all right, then we've got to finish
literally
up.
the
We've
last
got 5
question.
meetings.
I just wanted to clarify, because on here it says that Jennifer Eddy is a member of the board, and there had been some discussion about whether or not she has been seated on said board and received those, any emails and documents?
Well, we haven't had any board meetings yet. And again, Sonny, you want to come up? And Mark, you all can handle that question since I'm not a board member.
Yep.
Hi, Jennifer Eddy, I talked to, through the text messages, I talked to her, and actually Mark talked to her too. We are meeting next Monday for welcoming her. We already welcomed her verbally, and now we are meeting her on a Monday for a coffee. And we are looking forward to working with her. She'll be on our board. I think she's attending the September meeting too. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Well, let me just say, because I'm going to have to shut this down, right?
Yeah.
Let me just say, you two guys will be heading up Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge as we go forward. We've heard some things. You've heard council's concerns. You'll take them. I trust you. I know you guys are here. You've done some tremendous things in our city, and I'm excited about what you bring to the table. Thank Virginia's Blue Ridge for what they're doing. You know, you understand that there's some internal issues that you two can take care of. You've heard what we've said, and I'm going to leave that up to you. And people wanting to know what, when, and how, and why. You two guys got that. You're going to guide us as we go forward. But thank you all for what you've done and putting Roanoke on the map in a lot of different ways across this country, not here. And thank you. And I appreciate the report, appreciate the work that you're doing. You got some solid people. I've worked with them on some of the things that have come into this area. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Work hard. You've heard the request. You've heard all of that, and I trust you all. All right? So we're going to have to end this now. And we're going to end this, and thank you all for your efforts and work, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Mayor.
May I say one last thing that I want to get across to each and every one of you? Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, council will be in recess until 2 p.m. for about 4 closed meetings that we have, and lunch.